don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NFL The Betting Blitz Championship Weekend 2026. One of the biggest weekends of the year. We said wild card was huge, divisional was huge. This is the biggest weekend of the year as we lead into the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. A lot of conversation to ensue. It's Friday afternoon here on the East Coast. We want to come to you guys live on Friday afternoon to give you guys the whole weekend to get the plays in, to listen to the conversation we're about to have, and also to engage with us. If you guys are in the chat, if you're off work, drop some comments. A little bit of a pop-up show, but we have a ton of data, ton of conversation. Two great games. Mike, pleasure to be here. What's going on, brother?
Fired up, man. We have been fortunate. We've been blessed to have some fantastic January football. I mean, this goes all the way back to the New Year's games with the college football playoffs, and we got two more bangers in front of us here. The best of the best going at it here. What a fun set of games that we're going to have to talk about here. The AFC number one teams out there. NFC, what a great setup situation here. Going to be a lot of fun. Lots of trends, data, stats, sides, totals, props, you name it. We're going to cover them all here today, you guys. Appreciate everybody joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as I just said, this is really just a great conversation to be had. We're usually on here with about, 10 to 14 games on your average NFL Sunday. We kind of rip through the games. We give you a bunch of official plays. This is just 2 games. It's the Final Four. It's the best teams in the sport. I mean, this year, obviously, so much parity. I think we're really shocked to be here at this point and see some of these teams involved. I mean, you go back to preseason. If you had told me the Final Four would be Pats, Broncos, Seahawks, Rams, I would have said you're crazy and you're a degenerate gambler and you're trying to find a flyer to make some ridiculous lottery money. But this is not a lottery. This is real life. Then this is Conference Championship Weekend 2026. We got a bunch of conversation to ensue. If you guys are in the chat, say what's up to us, and let's get into the conversation. First game on the card. Sundays are for the Sharps. Sunday, January the 25th, 2026. Patriots, Broncos in Denver. This is a historical matchup, and this is way beyond Drake May and Bo Nix. This is Tom Brady in his prime over the years. The 5th time since the year 2000, the Pats have met the Broncos in the playoffs, and the 3rd AFC Championship game the Patriots have played against Denver, all in Denver. How nice is that for the Broncos? Very nice coincidence. Denver's won the last 2. Pats are laying a huge number. All of a sudden last week, Broncos beat the Bills. Everything looks fantastic. About an hour after the game, Bo Nix done for the year. Backup quarterback in the AFC title game. A lot of conversation. Mike, I was saying to you before the show, you like the contrarian side. You like to find some light in the darkness. Jarrett Stidham starting for the Broncos. What do you think about this game?
All right, so listen, where I've been the quarterback whisperer here is with regards to replacements all season long. I've been nailing it. Whether we go all the way back to that Miami-Washington game that they played across the pond, we've seen it time and time again. And the key metric, it comes down to the replacement of quarterback. And, a lot of people were talking about, can't argue, what does Bo Nix do incredibly well? 4th quarter comebacks. Kind of means he's been sleeping at the wheel for the first 3 quarters of these games out there. And if you look at this guy's numbers, his QBR 58.4 this season, 58.4. Now, minus you or me, Shark, anybody can go out there and throw a 58.4 QBR rating. So I don't know that this downgrade is as dramatic as people say. And now when you want to correlate this to the books, super overreaction, minus 5.5 on the Patriots. And the books corrected themselves to 4.5s, getting closer to that right number. I think this probably comes down to a field goal type of game. 72% of the bets are on the Patriots, but they're making it more attractive to bet these Patriots. Bigger cash coming in on the Broncos side of things here. And, we were talking a little bit backstage about the NFC side of things and what that matchup looks like as far as the defense are concerned. Look, that Broncos defense is legit. Now, you saw against I don't know how you hurt yourself taking a knee, but we saw that Bills defense, kind of not quite able to hold up to it. They go into overtime. There's that questionable situation and play calling that ends up getting Sean McDermott fired. But you look at this Broncos team, man, and they just seem to be resilient. They seem to bounce back. Here's where I think the edge lies, Shark. First half, Nobody knows what the hell Stidham's going to do. You and I were talking backstage. We can't quite figure out what he's going to do. We have some corollaries with what he's done a couple of years ago, but he truly is the X factor. You don't know if they're going to run. You don't know if they're going to pass. I'll tell you what I do know. RJ Harvey's a bum. I was on this guy last week and prop wise. Where was he? Where was he to be found? I mean, he just wasn't out there. I think what happens here is we see a good first half for this Broncos team. I know the Patriots are kind of that first half team, but I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to go against it and think that surprise that Peyton has up his sleeve with Stidham gets enough there. Give me the +2.5 for the Broncos in the first half. I got a couple player props. I want to get some thoughts out of you as well there, Shark. So tell me, am I on an island? Am I crazy here thinking that at least the first half, the Broncos can hang in this thing?
I think the first half could go either way. The Patriots have been great on the road all year. They've been great on the road in the first half. They've been explosive scoring the ball. When I was looking at this game before, I was quickly reminded the Patriots are 8-0 straight up on the road and 7-1 ATS on the road. And at some point, the whole sell high idea goes out the window. The team just becomes who they are in a higher pay grade. And I think that's really where we begin this conversation. I'm taking the Patriots. The buy hat is engaged. Let's go to the Super Bowl, New England. I'm here for it. But if you go back to last year, as I said, you wouldn't have seen this coming. About a year ago today, the Patriots looked like Drake May had upside. They didn't have a coach. Gerard Mayo was just fired. They just finished a 4-13 season. They're 16-3 this year, including the playoffs. 2-0 ATS in the playoffs. Dominated Herbert. Herbert's an incredibly upside quarterback. Dominated CJ Stroud last week. I was on the show last week telling you Stroud's going to look jittery in the pocket. He was a turnover machine. You do that to Herbert and Stroud, what are you going to do to Jarrett Stidham? And I don't think this is a sexy buy on a backup quarterback. This is the AFC Championship game. It's not week 2. And I think when you really look at what Stidham's done for the Broncos, not that impressive. 2 starts going back a couple years ago. Year 1, Sean Payton. He actually took Russell Wilson out of the lineup, put Stidham in as the starter week 17 and 18, 2023. Stidham did not perform particularly well, but he did throw the ball a lot, which is something we'll talk about in a few minutes here. ATS stats for this guy. 1-0 as a favorite, 0-1 as a dog. Let that tell you the story, and then zoom out a little bit and say to yourself, why are the Patriots laying 4 points at Denver in the AFC Championship game? Like, not everything in sports is like, okay, the Patriots should be laying 21 points here. That's never going to happen. 4.5 is strength. And you look at what's going on with the Pats this year as a road favorite. They covered at New Orleans, covered at Tennessee, covered at the Jets. And what I was just saying to you before, which I think is interesting in terms of cross-referencing strength, the only other time this year Patriots were laying 3.5 to 4 points outside of the division on the road, it was at New Orleans in week 6 against Spencer Rattler. So the Patriots are now laying the same number in the AFC Championship game at Denver as they did in week 6 at Spencer Rattler, which means one thing. The books think numerically Jarrett Stidham at home in Denver is comparable to Rattler in the Caesars Superdome. That is not line strength at all for Denver. And going just slightly further on this is a historical buy for the Patriots in the stadium. They lost 2 AFC Championship games here going back about a decade to Peyton Manning. Could there be any more of a gap between the environment between Peyton Manning and Jarrett Stidham? Mike, we're going to do a book. We're going to do a book in like 10 years where you can write a book on how to put a great narrative behind an unknown quarterback. Anyway, let's talk about the game and let's talk about the total. The total here, I think, is interesting. As I said, I think we're going to see Jarrett Stidham throw the ball a lot. I think it looks towards the over. Mike, you were saying maybe under, but talk to me.
Yeah, so the way I was looking at this game, a couple of factors that I thought about. First of all, you got to look at game script. Second off, we got to look at a little bit of the old ref report. We'll start with the ref report here. We've got an under official and Kemp. The totals have been going under by 6.4 points a game. He's averaging 11-5 to the under on the season. 8 roughing the passer penalties this year. That's tied for third most of any ref out there. Keeping the kind of, I think that gives the opportunity for some first downs. And this is why I think the under is in play. Look at the game plan. If you're Stidham, if you're the Denver Broncos, what do you want to do? I just kind of jumped on RJ Harvey for being non-existent that last game, but you're going to want to have a lot of dump offs. You're going to want to have a lot of pitch balls, a lot of pass balls, just kind of 3-yard. Don't let him go out there and throw the ball 50 yards down the field. In my estimation, that keeps the chains moving. That keeps the clock moving. And then conversely, if you look at what's going on with the Patriots side of the ball here, kind of feel the same. You're going to get a lot of blitz heavy attack from this Denver Broncos team. So what you're going to see out of a guy like Drake May, well, you've already seen what these guys do in terms of creativity and using play action. They want to free up those tight ends. And that's exactly what I think happens. If you're going to free up those tight ends, they're like 3-yard snap passes as well. So I like this clock to get moving. I do think that I mentioned this first half, but I got a couple player props that I think kind of complement what I feel is the game plan out there. The first is Drake May. Got to go to his over 1.5 passing touchdowns. To me, it comes down to that simple. I just talked about it. The play actions on the goal line to free up tight end spacing out there. They don't necessarily want to run with this guy. They want to see him pop that thing in there, get those 2 or 3 yard chucks out there. 3 touchdown passes against that Texans defense that everybody was saying is one of the best in the NFL, myself included. So I like an opportunity for Drake May. And if they're going to do dink and dunks and they're going to do dish offs, I got to look at Ramondre Stevenson. Give me his over 2.5 receptions as well. I know the running back in the goal line situation, they're not running the ball as often as they were in the regular season. They're trying to find those little dish off passes to keep that defense on their heels and keep them second guessing. So I like Ramondre Stevenson. Also, I was looking at the other side of the ball here with Courtland Sutton. He's been the guy, the big threat ball player out there, but I really haven't seen too much Courtland Sutton this postseason. So I was leaning towards his under receptions. I think his under receiving yards as well. Yes, he's the downfield threat, but how much chemistry does he have with Jarrett Stidham? And I think if that's the case, and we're looking at dink and dunks and dish off balls, then I think the guy that's going to pay the price for this one comes Courtland Sutton. So look to his under 4.5 receptions and look to his under receiving yards as well, Shark. Couple prop bets for you. What do you think?
A little disagreement, actually. And, we were talking about this before the show, but I actually was surprised when I started to look at what Jarrett Stidham did a couple of years ago with the Broncos, because I had the same natural thought. I thought backup quarterback, conservative offense, run the ball, and try to just take the risk down. Sean Payton is a maverick. I mean, this guy was behind Bounty Gate with the Saints. He's gotten fined for numerous things. He is not afraid to change the archetype of what's expected from a game. The expectation here is running game, conservatism. I think you're going to see a wide open game. And I think it really goes back to what we've seen all year with backup quarterbacks, and we've detailed week to week. Not Jarrett Stidham, not AFC Championship game. Guys like Flacco, Browning, Drew Lock last year, a couple others. Backup quarterbacks, they throw a lot of interceptions. They take high risk. They're talented. They're not refined. And they're not refined in the film room either. So the defense has a significant edge in the turnover gap, which can also lead to more points. But if you actually go back to 2 starts that Stidham had at the back end of 2023, 2 divisional games. He won a home game actually on New Year's Eve 2023 against the Chargers, 16-9. Key point, -3.5 home favorite. So he was favored at home. Books got it right. Divisional game. He covered. The game went under 39. Low line. You look at how the game was called by Payton. Same general idea. You would have expected a run game. At the time, the Broncos had Javonte Williams as their lead back. Obviously now with the Cowboys coming off a 1,000-yard year. Payton did not feature the run game. All of a sudden, Stidham comes out and throws the ball 32 times for 224 yards and a touchdown. Not an anomaly. The following week, another divisional game just after the new year into 2024, week 18 at Vegas, 27-14 loss. Key point there, only time as an underdog for Denver. He did lose by 13 points to the Raiders. And in that particular game, same thing. 34 passing attempts, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, run game, non-existent. And you talk about these receivers. At the time, it was little Jordan Humphrey was his 1. Jerry Jeudy was his 1-1A. And Mike, you talk about the passing game here in terms of the construction. That first game against the Chargers at home, 54-yard pass to little Jordan Humphrey, 41-yard pass to Jerry Jeudy. The game on the road at Vegas, 36 yard pass to a guy named Brandon Johnson, who caught 4 balls for 88 yards in that game. He's no longer in football. Shout out to Brandon Johnson. We see you. And Jerry Jeudy again, 3 for 79, 47-yard long, and a touchdown. And Mike, we were talking about this before. You go to the books. I have DraftKings open here. This is something that makes my eyes light up. We expect run game. We expect conservatism. You go to the sports books, passing attempts over under. The books have Drake May at 29.5. They have Jarrett Stidham at 32.5. That should make your eyes open up. Peyton is going to throw the ball. He thinks everybody's going to expect run. He's going to throw. He's like a poker player. He's leveling before you do it. It's chess. He thinks that everybody's expecting it, so he's going to throw. Stidham's going to be chucking this ball around the yard, Mike. Maybe some short passes. I'm not entirely sure. That is pretty egregious, though. The fact that May has a lower line than Stidham in the passing market, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't entirely surprise me. If you think about the way it kind of dissect that, what they're saying is that the Broncos should be down and they're going to have to throw the ball to catch back up. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's the narrative. That's the way it should be here. We're laying 4.5 points with these Patriots. So yeah, Broncos should be in chase mode. And if you're chasing, unfortunately, Stidham, I'll tell you I got to look at this here. Who's Stidham's backup? And can I get that guy to throw an interception? That seems to be the play to me. Because what if Stidham goes out there and lays a dud in the first half? And, now you got yourself in some trouble and you keep your phone on, Shark. They might be calling you to come out there and play quarterback in the second half.
The backup is Sam Ellinger, the kid out of Texas, coming out of the draft.
Oh, Sammy the Gunslinger Ellinger, huh?
There you go. There's more points. And, you talk about the market. This line opened up on the total at 40.5, and now it's steamed up 2 full points. So somebody is definitely taking notice of this idea that there's going to be a lot of points in this game. And just another point on this. The Patriots just played 2 real low-scoring games at home, 16-3 against the Chargers, and held C.J. Stroud to 16 points. That game actually did go over 41.5. I think that you're going to see an environmental reversal here. I think they get on the road. The defense might not travel as well. And as we said, gunslinger from Stidham. And if you go through these road games this year outside of the division, they had 2 total lines right in this range. The total was 41 at Tennessee, and the line was 6.5 favored. The final was 31-13. It went over. Pat scored 31 points in the game, and they had a 42.5 line at the Jets and scored 42 points on the Jets and went over 42-10. So we're going to give you guys a handful of free plays on this card. I'll give you guys a couple in this one. Take the over at 42.5. Take Stidham passing attempts over 32.5. And another one that I really like, over longest completion for Stidham. I think he's going to be chucking it downfield, over 31.5. Mike, what did you said you like Denver? Is that official, or what do we have here?
Yeah, I got the first half Denver plus 2.5. I'm also going to go official with Drake May over 1.5 passing touchdowns at a nice little minus 105 price tag out there.
Sounds great, but 20 minutes of conversation, a lot to unpack. And we will keep it moving. Our guys in the chat here hanging out here on a Friday, a suddenly not so casual Friday. We hope you guys are tuning in throughout the weekend, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning. What a day. Truthfully, we love being on here on Sunday morning throughout the season. The energy leading up to kickoff is unparalleled. But Friday afternoon here in January, about to get a snowstorm up in New York. I'm in Florida. We're hanging out. We're talking ball. We see you guys in the chat. And let's keep it moving. Next game on the card here. Second of 2, NFC Championship game in Seattle, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Big time stuff here. We're talking about the previous game being a little anecdotal. The teams don't really have a rivalry. They haven't played in years. Not the case in this one. NFC West divisional rivalry, third matchup of the year. We have data. We have rivalry. We have a lot of access in this game. I have a couple comments. I have a lot of comments. Mike, open me up. What do you think?
What a great game. This I think they got it right with the scheduling, the timing here. The Rams and the Seahawks going to be the third matchup of the season. We got some trends to talk about with regards to that. This line opened up at plus 1.5 on the Rams side of things here. They've now moved to 2.5s, and you have 51% of the bets and 59% of the cash at time of recording. You talked about that last game and the total moving up correlated with the cash and the market movement here. This total's coming down, and this is a reverse line movement situation because you've got 75% of the bets and 70% of the cash on the total. It's gone from 47.5 to 46.5 out there. And look, this is probably one of the games that I'll take a step back. Game I'll probably remember the most in this current season is 2%, Shark. 2%. In fact, it was less than 2% after Sam Darnold threw an interception just a couple weeks ago against this LA Rams team. Less than 2% chance to win the game. And of course, we saw him steam down, going out there, no quit, BDing him all over the place. And Sam Darnold goes out there and gets that dub in overtime. What a game that was. That was a lot of fun to watch. It was hard to imagine. I left money on the table, live betting or not live betting, because I thought the Seahawks were done with a less than 2% chance out there. But, we talked about this backstage too. These boys seem to be tuned up for the division. I mean, look, they held the San Francisco 49ers. Lots of guys thought that Niners team was going to have the depth to go deep this year. I told you guys all season they're Charmin soft, but they held them to 6 points last week. What's impressive is they played at San Francisco 2 weeks before that. They held them to 3 points in there. They played at Carolina in the rematch spot out there, 10 points. They held the Carolina Panthers too. That's a playoff team. They played that LA Rams team in a battle, in a barn burner. They played the Colts. I mean, this Seahawks team has played nothing but a tough schedule. And the thing that's flying under the radar, Shark, is Charbonnet. We haven't heard much about how come this guy's out. What's it going to do to the? Doesn't seem to matter. These boys truly have a next man up mentality. My question is there enough experience behind the helm, both at quarterback and coach on the Seahawks side of things here? I like this Rams team on the first half side of things, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to involve this Rams in a teaser, and I'm going to have them teased with the I'm going to get on that other side of things with the Broncos full game teaser wise, and that's going to move this up to 9.5. Maybe by game time, it'll even be a 10 if we can catch a +3. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't expect it to be a full-fledged blowout, but I like a teaser with the Rams. And I'll tell you one more I got for you, Shark. I got some props as well, but I'm going to look to the under in this game. I know I talked a little bit about potential low scoring in that last one. Shout out to you giving us the over in that spot, so I'll be rooting the over on there with you. But in rematches, if the last game went to overtime and it was an over, that's this game. We just talked about it. That less than 2% chance of a comeback. 100 to 68 in favor of the under out there. Road Dogs on a winning streak against their own division are 42-9. I think the Rams are a live dog here. I think the Sam Darnold magic has done itself fine. You know what? This Cinderella is about to find that carriage as a pumpkin here. I just think there's too much experience, too much depth. Puka Nacua, Devonta Adams. I mean, the running game with you name it up and down. I just think there's too much depth and experience here. Now, what I do like are some player props, but I want to hear what you have to think about this side in the total.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of angles, obviously. The numbers here do suggest Seattle and the over. Truthfully, if you look at the previous two games, Seattle has actually cooked this defense. The first game played in week 11, Seattle on the road, actually had 414 yards, somehow only had 19 points. That game, Thursday Night Football, week 16, 38-37 in overtime. There was actually, I believe, 1,000 yards in the game. But something I really want to talk about to open up this conversation here. You actually rarely see environments like this in football in the playoffs in terms of rest advantage. This is a significant rest advantage for Seattle here. Seattle had a bye. Obviously, only one team per conference gets a bye. They had a bye week. Then they played last weekend against the Niners, and the game was pretty much over from the opening kick. I mean, Seattle takes the opening kick to the house. The place is going absolutely nuts. The Niners were just lifeless. The game was over by halftime, if we're being honest. So Seattle has really played one half of football in the last 3 weeks. They are not injured. They are not fatigued. They have not traveled in weeks. It doesn't get more laid up on a platter for a team like this. And you look at the Rams, third consecutive road game at Carolina, barely won late at Carolina by a field goal. Last week, road at Chicago in the dark, cold night, overtime. Talk about a draining victory. Now you got to travel again, third straight road game to one of the worst environments for a road team in the whole sport, the 12th man in Seattle. This is historically brutal for the Rams, if we're just being honest. Far outside of just this game, it's awful for any team. And I really think that's going to come into play here. And I think that's why you're seeing the line upgrade to Seattle. As you said, they were laying 1.5 in the regular season at home, 1 in overtime. Now you're at 2.5. It's the same thing we saw last week, where Seattle had beaten the Niners in the second matchup in the regular season, and now they were slightly upgraded in the playoffs. And I just think there's such an advantage to this spot. I think Mike McDonald is an extremely underrated coach. And the one big narrative we're hearing across the media here is that Darnold is just a turnover machine against the Rams. But if you really go through it, I think it's more outlierish than it's expected to continue. You go back to the last game, forget Darnold for a second. Cooper Kupp fumbled at the 1 yard line, about to score a touchdown. And then slightly later on in the game, Darnold threw an interception, also at the 1 yard line, about to score a touchdown. And Darnold's other interception in the game was returned 56 yards, almost a pick six, down to the Seattle one. So you talk about just a cluster of outliers here. I think Seattle gets it done. I think Seattle goes to the Super Bowl. I think we see a Seattle-New England rematch of the Super Bowl played between a young Russell Wilson and Tom Brady down in the desert in 2014. Pats 28-24, the infamous Malcolm Butler interception game. Marshawn Lynch left hanging on the sidelines. We'll have that conversation in 2 weeks. But I do think Seattle comes away with the dub. I'll give it to you guys here. Take the money line or -2.5. Mike, let's talk the total for a second. You said you think the under one point on the over, I think, which is important again, is kind of this idea of fatigue for the Rams, where the defense is going to just be burned out and there's going to be a lot of explosiveness in the game. And secondarily, you saw an under against Chicago, just nonsense. Ben Johnson going for it too many times on fourth down, not taking points with field goals. That sort of gives that field position. Nobody's scoring. I could see more points, but go further on that.
Yeah, so I just think when you come down to this game plan, the script, the way the ref, we'll go back to the ref analysis as well. I mean, these guys are Martin be the guy out there. 2 home games for the Seattle Seahawks, both unders cashed out there. Historically speaking, slight edge to the LA Rams side of things here, but not a big false start guy out there. Second fewest calls in the league out there, keeps this clock moving. And I think those are key positions where you'll find yourself, third and short. Maybe you go for it, maybe you don't. But I think this ball keeps on the ground. I think this ball keeps moving. I think with Charbonnet and that ACL injury, you have to find a way. And I think Kenneth Walker, this guy's been kind of hit or miss, but he can certainly be explosive at times. And if you've got a guy like Kenneth Walker, you want to keep Sam Darnold. You talk about the turnover machine. I like Darnold to throw a pick. I think that's priced around -135 right now. Not because of the history with the Rams, but just because this is a bright lights moment, the brightest lights that, we've seen a kid in Sam Darnold have out there. Also, look, I know I talked a little bit about the under, but I do suspect that these boys will be down and have to throw the ball. Not like they were against that San Francisco squad out there where they're busting them up and he only had to throw the ball like 15 times out there. But I think we saw this the last game. Part of it was the comeback in overtime, but 30 passing attempts for Sam Darnold doesn't seem out of the realm. So I'm going to jump in on his passing attempts over because I think that correlates with, chasing this game from behind after keeping it on the ground for the first 3 quarters. They take the leash off him in the fourth quarter, and last guy to have the ball wins this game. So I think it's going to be some coaching trickery to your point, around the coaching and the experience and Mike McDonald. This is going to be a fun game to watch the coaches play chess out there. And I think it's going to take them 3 quarters to shake it out before they finally open up in that fourth quarter and don't leave anything hang back.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. We got a bunch of stuff going on. It's 30 minutes of pretty much all the details we have, and we have best bets.
As soon as I find the video.
NFL, the Betting Blitz Conference Championship weekend. Sundays are for the Sharps. Mike, you're a Sharp. Sometimes too sharp for me, I'll tell you that. Taking some dogs this weekend, I believe. What do you got for best bets?
I like this Denver first half +2.5. I know it's the easy option here is to say, well, the best first half team in football are the New England Patriots, so we're going to take them. And if it was that easy, then everybody would be doing it here. I really like your total look in this game now that more I think about it. I'm going to go with Drake May. I've got the over 1.5 touchdowns. I like that. Ramondre Stevenson over 2.5 receptions as well. So I've got 2 props and a side for you in that first game. I'm going to take that under in that second game here, the 46.5. And I like that teaser, Denver plus 11.5 and the Rams plus 9.5. That's going to be 5 plays. 5 plays on a suddenly not so casual Friday. My guy Shark, appreciate you doing this with me, brother.
Absolutely. And so we're looking at, did you give out the over in the Pats game?
No.
Okay. That'll be my first play. And we're actually getting uptick in the market. We're seeing 43s pop up now. So that is an incredibly sharp take. That's one of my top plays. We'll give it to you guys here. Best bet, take over 42.5 in the first game. Also, along those lines, I'll give you 3 in that one, and I'll give you 1 in the late game. Looking at Stidham, I think it's going to be an explosive game. And you guys heard it here first, NFL The Betting Blitz. Please drop a like or repost on X and comments on YouTube, because you're hearing stuff here you're not going to hear elsewhere. I'll tell you that. That is just a fact. You're going to see Stidham throwing the ball around the yard, and I think a lot of deep balls as well. I really do. Just another point on that. I think it takes more precision to throw over the middle in these short passes. It's easier to just drop back and air it out for a backup quarterback. So I think it actually helps him. But we're taking over passing attempts, 32.5, and over 31.5 longest completion. And in the second game, we're taking the Rams. We're not taking the Rams. We're taking the Rams to lose. We're taking the Seahawks minus 2.5. As I said, I think we're going to see a Super Bowl repeat of a Super Bowl in February of 2014. That is that. We appreciate you guys hanging out here on a Friday afternoon. Mike, give them some words, and I'll close it out.
Now we're down to 2 shows left. This, and then we'll have the big dance for you guys for the Super Bowl. But what a great fun. I said the Shark early in the season. It renewed my excitement for the NFL. So thankful to my guy. My hat's off. I was wearing a hat. I take it off for my guy Shark here, getting me fired up to have some fun with the NFL. And I appreciate all you guys joining us each and every week, trying to get them best bets, trying to get that cash. I'm trying to get that cash this weekend. I hope you guys are as well. So make sure you follow me on X at Mikey Money Wins. Of course, the Sports Money Network will be live going Friday. Saturday, we're going to have the UFC. We'll be live Sunday night for that NFC championship game. And who knows? We'll see what else the horizon provides us. But looking forward to it, my guy Shark. As always, appreciate you. Thank you guys all for checking us out here, Shark. Close them up.
Absolutely. As we always say, guys, please manage your bankroll. You should have about 100 units in a side account. So no day is your last day betting. There's always a chance that it could go the other direction, not because of a lackadaisical handicap, but because this is sports betting and the books are not giving away money. The lines are sharp, and that is just a fact. But we are sharp. You guys are sharp for hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys immensely. Have a beautiful Friday, Saturday into Sunday. It is an opportunity to dominate. For Mike, I am the Shark. Stay fast, stay strong, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.
Peace.